Welcome back to my channel, aniraharis.com. And so it has been quite months that I haven't uploaded anything to my channel since it is the semester break, and now is the beginning of the new semester. So for today's video, I will be lecturing one of my subject, FWS 421, Writing and Storytelling for Animation. So let's get started. So as I mentioned before, this week is the first week of the lecturing session for the new semester. We'll be kick off this subject with what is animation writing. Okay, animation is an illusion of movement through persistence of vision. So do you know what is persistence of vision? Put it in this way: when one image is shown for every 2 frames at a total of 12 frames per second, it allows for a smooth motion. But when one image is shown for every frame at a total of 12 frames per second, it allows even faster motion. So when you put 24 frames of a movement in a linear or a set of sequence, it creates 1 second of smooth movement. So yeah, that's why sometimes you can you've seen an animation with a jagged movement and a very smooth movement. It depends on the frames that you put in a sequence. Let's get to know more about types of animation. So these are the major types of animation that have been introduced in our animation industry. So do you know how many types of animation have been created locally in Malaysia? Some people do ask me, is it necessary to create an animation with or without dialogues? Which one is the best? The answer is there's no rules to create an animation with or without dialogue. Both have their own strengths. It's the matter of how you put the storyline. You, as a writer, need to put 2 things in your mind. Not every story is doable. Sometimes we do have this idea about a story of this and that, but technically, can you manage to visualize it at the end of the day? Because at the end of my class, you need to create a project or a storyboard. So let's say you pitch me an idea with a very bombastic concept character, but at the end of the day, is it a doable thing for you to do? Technically, you need to think a story within your capability to finish up your story. Another part of technical aspect that you need to consider as an animation writer is some idea is suitable for series and some idea may suitable for a movie, because a production for a series is considered as a smaller weightage of doing it rather than the movie. So it's the matter of how you use the idea at the correct moment or in the correct way. Second thing that you need to consider, you as a writer in animation industry, is that financially. Sometimes that idea is best for a better software or a better editing, and it usually it is costly. So that's why as a writer you need to know where wants or needs to go, so that you won't waste your idea in the wrong time at a wrong place. So that's why as a writer you need to know this technical and financial aspects, so that your idea is suitable at that moment only. And for my class, it is advisable for you to think great idea, but within the technical and your financial as well, whether can you or manageable, doable or not. Let's move on to the next topic. In animation writing, the concept or the format for the scripting is same as the live action script, whereby you can use the Final Draft software or a Celtx to create or to write your script. It doesn't matter. But do you know the important things in a script? You need to get to know what is a description. In a script, it is called a description element, whereby you need to describe your scene, your environment, and your character. The second thing that you need to know in script is the action. So the action in your story, such as what happened, you need to explain it well in your script so that your story is moving forward. So the third element in a script is the dialogue that has been spoken to your character. So here's come the question that I've asked in the early lecture, whereby do we need a dialogue or not? For some scene, it is required to put a dialogue, whereby you can't explain it through your action anymore. But some scenes, you need to minimalize, or perhaps you don't need to use a dialogue to explain that situation. Perhaps the action, for second element, already explain it. So why do you need a dialogue to explain it again if your action can explain everything? That's what we call it redundant. One thing that I learned throughout my experience in writing for animation, your script is like a blueprint before you start your production. Without a blueprint, sometimes you can't build a ship, you can't build a building, because a blueprint is everything. Same goes to the animation. It is important for you guys as a writer for animation to complete and finalize your script before hand over to the animation department. Here's one tip in producing animation. Do you know that when a writer starting to write a script, what is the other department also working together with a writer? Concept department. Yes, the concept department can work together with a writing department to come up with concept for the character, concept for the environment in the story, the concept for setting for the story. Without a characters, how are you going to move a story? A character need to be finalized first so you can work your script or your story with this character. Once you lock your character, such as character a boy, young and handsome, but a scaredy cat. So when you write a script, you will be focusing this character, young handsome boy, but a very a coward characteristic. So whenever you want to write a situation about a scene of having an accident, what can a scaredy cat person would do in that situation? So that's how your story should move on. So without a character, how are you going to decide for your story? Okay, so yeah, character must come first. We'll get to know more about the script in your workshop week soon. In writing for animation, there are some elements that you need to put in your mind, which is the next topic is audience. Audience is important. So before you set your story or your direction of your story, you need to know to whom this animation will be shown. Know your audience first. So there are three types of audiences, which is number 1, adults, number 2, children, or number 3, the preschooler. For education, if you decide this animation would be for education, there are certain elements that you need to consider, such as preschooler, they don't understand heavy dialogue. So you need to create a simple version of storyline or a less dialogue, because preschooler, usually 4 to 5 or 3, they don't really understand a long dialogue compared to the adult. such as The Simpsons, Ghost in the Shell, and so there's a various kind of animation for adult. You can include complicated or double meaning dialogue perhaps, because that is for adults. And same goes to the children audience or young teenagers. So yeah, the most important thing is that know your audience first, so then you can set a direction for your script in terms of description and your dialogue. As a writer, it is important for you guys to be the character, not you as you in that story, meaning that story is going to be fail. If you are writing a story about a very cheeky ghost, you need to feel yourself as a cheeky ghost. So that's where when you start to write your script, you know, I am a cheeky ghost. What should I do if I happen to meet these circumstances? But if you put yourself, I don't know, I don't want to say that you as a boring person, but you as you're not a ghost. So you might have this tendency whereby you decide for your character according to your personality, not as the personality for the character itself. So it is important for you to feel yourself as the character. That's the main thing about being a writer. So another topic that I would like to cover up for today's lecture is storytelling. What is storytelling? According to National Storytelling Network, storytelling is an ancient form. Why does it call as ancient art? Okay, let's fly back to years ago. What is the first or the main source of entertainment during the caveman era? Storytelling. Yeah, they don't have TV, they don't have Netflix or YouTube at that moment. So how do they find an entertainment? Storytelling, or in our local said panglipolar. Usually there's one storyteller will convey a story where everybody will listen to him. There's a tendency everybody going to believe this one storyteller. So whether this storyteller is telling a truth or not, it doesn't important anymore, because this is a storytelling. That's why there are so many versions of folklore story, like the famous one for our local, like Si Tanggang, Bawang Putih, Bawang Merah. Those story conveyed by the storyteller, and after that being conveyed by some other person to the other person to the other person. So those storytelling process may have a tendency to change along the way. So what are the important things that you need to understand about storytelling? Storytelling need to be interactive. Yeah, the story itself, the way you convey the story itself must be interactive to attract your audience to listen. Storytelling uses words. Another thing that you need to know about storytelling is that they use the actions and vocalization while convey the story, such as the face expression, the tone of the voice, how you convey the story, like, I am a fierce dragon, oh no, please help me. So those kind of things that need to be in the storytelling process to make it even fun or more interactive. The most important thing you need to know about storytelling, it need to encourage imagination within your audience. Such as the story is about a dragon, a very fierce dragon. So inside your audience or your listeners, they need to put a dragon, a very huge and fierce dragon. But what if I just tell a story, once upon a time there's a dragon. How many of you right now is sleeping? So that's why once upon a time there's a fierce, big, fiery red dragon with a fire bleeding and so yeah, those kind of things that need to be implanted as part of the imagination. I don't know if you imagine a dragon or not when I put it that way, but I hope you get what does it mean. Alright, so I guess that's it for this week's topic. A little bit about what is animation and storytelling. So next week we'll get to know more about character. So for today's class exercise, I will list down in your Google Classrooms. Do find out what is the today's class exercise. So that's it. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe my channel, aniraharris.com, for those who are new to my channel. And I'll see you guys some other time in next video. See ya. Love ya.